Hello everyone, I'm here with the great
Teddy Tran.
and what did you just do, good sir?
I got second place at RBET Genesis.
Oh my god, in San Jose, what did you play?
I played a pretty unique deck. It's Blackwings.
Oh my god, really?
Yes.
I've never heard of this one before. Can you show us how it works? This is crazy.
Yeah. Well, anyways, this is my prize, so I'm very happy. Thank you,
Look at that. Look
Keegan,
at these beautiful cards.
and all of RBET for it.
God. There's a medal somewhere over there too.
Yes,
wow. What is this? Is it heavy?
Yeah, it's pretty heavy. I'm pretty
God.
sure it's I don't even know what it is. It would definitely be a weapon.
We'll call it gold. It's gold plated, maybe.
But yeah, I guess the deck profile.
Here's a nice map too.
Honestly, nothing unique. I guess I just copied Jan Daime's list. It's what I've played pretty much all War League. And it's kind of what's really helped me. Biggest shout out to Johnny Mai too. I guess he's honestly given me a lot of insight on the deck and kind of take it to the next level. So nothing is really different. I could explain some of the side pattern stuff after, but standard, just 3 of every Blackwing up until get to the values. So 1 Gale, 2 value. This is the only big difference. Honestly, I sided out a lot. I don't think it makes too much of a difference. It just gave me options whenever I was choosing for a lure, and it at least allowed my opponents to think, okay, well, if he has 1 or 2, that I would have other options in my deck if I were to attack over Khalid or Shara and stuff. So it was nice. And then obviously the card I drew so much, and against Zawa in game 2, I just top decked it off the top arm. So it really saved me a lot this tournament. I think this tournament I just drew. I was very, very lucky in terms of what I was drawing, and you can't win a tournament without seeing this or Whirlwind pretty much. I guess spells are almost always the same as others. 2 Black Whirlwind, Allure, Heavy, Book Moon, 1 Brain Con, and an MST. I guess the only one that's different is the Book. I just wanted a 1 spell card that could interact in the main phase that wasn't bottomless and that could play around Trap Stun. In top 4, it really worked against Oscar when he kind of went for a Plague play, trying to go to Yugioh to take my Stardust, and I just booked his Plague and was able to kind of attack over that for game next turn. For the traps, also very, very standard. 3 Icarus, 2 Bottomless, 2 Prison, Mirror Force, 1 Oppression, which is probably the difference. Solemn, Trap Dust Shoot, and Starlight Road, and then 2 Draw Traps. So just have 1 of each. No reason, honestly. It just at least allows for different mind games of how many I'm playing. And Starlight Road and Oppression are probably the biggest differences in my trap lineup. Were they really good? I felt like Oppression was something that a lot of players weren't playing around game 1, and I felt like it was, whenever I did have it, I did have a slight edge. In my last round of Swiss, I did see it game 1 against Zabo, but it wasn't really. It was actually a detriment to myself. So I'm not sure if I would continue playing it, but I think overall I think it's a good card. It's the only difference would be it could possibly be torrential. And Starlight Road I think was also not, if it's this and Gore, I think they're pretty much the same thing. I felt like every time I resolved Starlight Road, I was pretty much winning, but there were definitely instances where having both of these cards were conflicting.
So no torrential. Is
No torrential.
Is there?
I felt like a lot of times in games 2 and game 3, I had to, when I was playing torrential, I had to consider if I wanted to take it out sometimes because the most common side deck card or outside of Dust Tornado is Starlight Road. Mm-hmm. And so if I'm already, a lot of times I was taking out cards like Mirror Force in game 2, game 3, because there's already a lot of other cards that have mass removal. Like if I'm not playing against like a Titanial deck, then I'm just considering taking those because I already have Icarus attack that could clear boards, and I felt like at least I have so much board removal and I have strong bigger monsters that's just easier to get over things as well. So I never felt like I missed torrential, but I definitely think it's nice. I think this is just a surprise factor. A lot of really good players are already playing around torrential as well. So yeah.
Would you change anything about this list?
I personally I think this is the list that has honestly helped me win a lot of my games on even War League. I think pretty much I could try. I've tried 41. There was a side deck card I really liked a lot. I think that was probably one of the biggest factors in my games. My side deck, in terms of the 40 that I played, I I pretty much always would play it. I think this is good against pretty much every single matchup. I think Starlight Road is always like a hit or miss. Maybe some tournaments I want to play Gores instead, but I thought it was great this tournament.
Okay, should we look at the side deck first then?
Yeah,
Since we've got some interesting things in there, perhaps.
Yeah. Side deck, so 2 Cyber Dragons. This is something I kind of changed last minute. I played 2 Fossil Dyna. I was a big believer on just 1 before because my common side deck pattern is if I'm going first, I tended to take out. I would take this out for Blizzard and Vayu, and that was almost always before I would run 1, and this would just be where the Vayu would be. But I pretty much felt like this would give me a slight edge on the Hero Frog matchup, which I played Frogs round 5, 6, 4. I think 4, 5, and 6 were all Frog matchups, so I was honestly very, very lucky. I felt like there was a time where I basically had 2 false Dynas, and I was just beating my opponent down. 2 Crow, I just think this is like kind of a staple. You have to respect combo. 2 Knock, I do like Mind Control as well. I just felt like I just wanted to see the consistency cards. This is probably my best side deck cards, 7 tools. Shout out Nima for bringing this up. I honestly wish I main decked this. This is honestly such an amazing card. I felt like people weren't really playing around it, even though it's kind of been in a lot of decks, but it's so hard to play around. So Oppression, and then I played 2 Dust, 2 Rug, and then I played 1 Deck Dev. This was really good, I guess, for me in my first round. I played Johnny Mai and pretty much had a scenario where I kind of basically misplayed, but I ended up just deck deving away what I brain controlled, and it basically just sacked me the game. I just like he drew Dark Armed, I drew a monster and attacked, and every single thing he drew after that went into the grave. So honestly, it's just like honestly a high variance card that sometimes is very good, very bad. But I think it's worth it to play.
Makes sense. All right.
Yeah, I think for the extra deck, so outside tokens, these are all pretty much super standard. Chimera Tech, Catastrophe Android, 2 Armwing, Goyo, Brio, the 1 Armmaster, Black Rose, Thought Whirler, Dark End, Colossal, Stardust, Silverwind, and then the Mistworm. I guess the biggest talking points would be focusing on the 1 Armmaster, Mistworm. I think Mistworm per game has come up too many times, especially when you already have a 4 on the field. And I think 1 Armmaster, the second one has never really come up. Although it is very nice, it feels a little bit win more. So, and I think because I'm playing less deck devs, it's less important as well.
All right, cool. Any shout outs or tournament reports?
Yeah.
For us?
Yeah, I guess okay. Maybe I'll do the tournament report first, then I'll. So round 1, I played Johnny Mai on Blackwing, 2-1. I think it was. I honestly pretty much drew really insane, but the biggest turning point was in the last, basically the last instance where both top decking deck dev basically just emptied his hand. I saw that he drew Dark Armed, and he just drew Blizzard and Kalut as his next draws. Round 2 was against Tim. He was on Gadgets, and I swear every time I play Gadgets in a tournament, it's just like I'm completely afraid of all of them. So it was a 2-0, but yeah, I think he was probably like a little bit newer, so I felt like that was an okay matchup. Round 3, I played a mirror match. I lost 1-2. Big turning point there was I made a misplay where my opponent had he had a Gores and a Gale. He had half my Sirocco, and I guess I had to book a moon. I thought I was being clever, and I booked my own Sirocco, pumped, and attacked over his Gale, but I didn't look at his grave, and he had Dark Armed, and I lost. So that was pretty tough. Round 4, I played against Nick Wagner. He was one of the 2 making the Dupless Hero Frog list, so really good player. I think in that game, I had 2 Fossil Dynas and 2 Pulling the Rugs, and he told me he basically had no outs like when he was top decking, and I was just kind of attacking with that. Round 5, I played Tim Pontes, and I think that game was pretty insane because my first game, he pretty much goes Dust Tornado on my Icarus attack, sets Ultimate Offering, and before he knows it, he has a 5300 Junk Warrior, a 4300 Junk Warrior, and a bunch of swaps. And I was like, well, the game is over. So that was really interesting. Honestly, I think the next two were really tough the next two games that against him were pretty tough because game 2 I decked him for 5, and then game 3 I basically just had Dark Arm. He Water Arted. He saw my hand. He discarded 1, and I was still able to make Dark Arm live, go into Goyo, and just pop his board and go for game. Round 6 was a really, really tough match against Hector Tellez. So I started game 1, as broken as I could be. Shura Whirlwind, set Icarus attack, and before I knew it, the game was pretty much over, and I didn't even really see his deck. I just knew that he was on Forgs. Game 2, I dust shooted him, and I saw that he had E-Heroes and Miracle Fusion, and I was so confused because I basically sided in for conversion. I was expecting conversion side, and I think that made me really confused because after he won game 2 in that scenario, game 3 I saw where he was summoning multiple aliases and attacking me with it. So I thought that was very interesting. It was basically a Forg list that had a side conversion into Hero Frog, it seemed like. But shout out Hector. He was honestly such a great opponent. I think we were talking a little bit before and then after the match, and I think it was honestly one of probably the most competitive matches I played. Round 7 was against Jason Shu. Honestly, pretty much another person I sent my deck list to before and knew my list and knew the things I wasn't playing Gores and stuff. And obviously, I was bound to play him, I guess. Always a really good player though. Big shout out to him because I felt like he's honestly helped me improve as a Blackwing player a lot too. Just asking for his insight. One thing was every War League game that I had him play warm ups, even though he destroyed me, I felt like I won those games. So I think that game really came down to game 3 where he kind of has Dustin or MST, and I have a bottomless and Icarus that could basically affect his board, and he just he hits one of my a dead Sally Road pretty much. I think that was the biggest turning point for the game. And then round 8 I played against Mark Garcia. I think he 2-0'd me, and I felt like I had decided quite poorly for him. But it was honestly really cool because I think I talked to him. I was talking to the tournament. I talked to him. Even before this tournament, leading up to it. And he's honestly such a great guy. I felt like a lot of his insight really helped me play this tournament. He kept me calm in a couple rounds. I guess after the rounds, I'd be kind of oh my gosh, I got pretty lucky, and then we would kind of talk it out, feel a little calm before the next round. So big shout out to Mark. He was a great opponent. Top 16, I played against Reggie Vayu. I think that was a very, very tough match. I think game 1, I almost felt like I drew so well that I didn't think I just felt like I kind of threw the game away. His Chaos Sword kind of banished my, believe it was the Arm Master, and he played around my D Prison. And then I misplayed in game 2 where I didn't play around Neck Guard now. Game 3, it was kind of cutting down to time. He was trying to go for game, and my lone Shura, I had a Shura and another Blackwing. I Icarus, killing his Gale and Sirocco that he got back from return, and he went Catastrophe trying to attack into my Shura, and I basically just collided for game for that. So after that, I had played in top 8 against, I believe it was Pizza, on a Gear Town,
something like that.
Something like some Gear Town list. Honestly, it was really unique, and I was, if there was any other deck in top cut I didn't want to play against, I definitely didn't want to play against this one because I have so many traps. I think one slight unlucky thing for Pizza was so many of his games were streamed that I did have a chance to review some of his games. But he was a great opponent. I think the games were pretty tight. He very end, I have a Blizzard. I kind of could have gone for game, but I was trying to play around bottomless. He top decks a Consecrated Light, and just lucky for me, he had normal summoned it instead of setting it, and allowed me to go for game because of that. And then top 4 was against Oscar Zelaya. This game was kind of quick, but mainly because he played a Nitro. He was on Nitro Vayu. Honestly, only main funny thing is I had set a Vayu and set a Heavy Storm, he summons Armageddon Knight and attacks to my value, and then he sets a card, and then I activate Heavy Storm, and it just happened to be his Heavy Storm too. So I thought Ricky's comment was like, "There's so many pros here." I thought that was a pretty funny comment. But yeah, I think that game was honestly pretty quick. Where I think in game 2 he decked at me, and he didn't hit anything. He saw me basically draw Whirlwind and Shura, and I think it was pretty tough even on his end. I think in most scenarios. I was pretty lucky because even game 2 I even had 2 Whirlwinds. So honestly, those were like a little bit non-games because of that. But honestly, great guy, great opponent. And then last opponent I played Mark Garcia again. I really wanted to get the run back this time. And I'm happy I got to play against someone that a friend like Zabo. So honestly, I feel like I've put this game a little behind my head just because of the loss, but I think it was. I think some of the major decisions I felt like in this game were the game 1. I had an opportunity to basically blind Allure. The chances of me drawing a monster were kind of low, but I felt like in that scenario in game 1, I basically could have pushed for game when I should have. Allowing him another turn was not very good. And game 3, I think I had double Pression in, which I basically top decked like again and again. I think that interaction at the beginning of round 3 game 3 where he dash shoots me and then I dash shoot him and he has no monsters. Well, I feel like it's kind of just over after that. So, but yeah, honestly, I had a really good tournament. I was pretty happy with how I played. I think happy with how the tournament ran. I think everyone I met today, this whole tournament was like honestly as nice as like I really appreciate the Yu-Gi-Oh community so much this tournament.
Well, that's great to hear. Do you have any shout outs left to give?
Yeah,
I've got a long list here.
Yeah. Let's so a big shout outs to like RBET and Keegan, Swag, and especially Swagger, I guess, for them hosting the tournament. All the RBET staff, like Ricky and Matt and stuff.
I heard a lot of good things about them.
Yeah, I felt like Swagger was like honestly one of the best head judges I've ever had. I felt so safe with him as a judge. So thank you so much for that. Thank you for all my opponents that big shout outs to all my opponents I played. Honestly, I felt like I played some great players, and that was a great opportunity for me. But they were also very just like great people. Like I enjoyed talking to them after and discussing our match. I think that made me feel very like the scene was very healthy. Shout out again to my opponents like Johnny and Zabo. I played both of them this tournament. Like we're seeing Johnny play round 1 and then Zabo in the finals. They're the 2 players that have given me a lot of insight in the game. Big shout out to Nima who fellow Bird Bro in the Bay Area, and Jason Chu for like a lot of their help and insight. And big shout outs to like my Worley team and Alvin and Yishan, Colin, Seth, Eddie, Calvin, Jason Doe, Howard, Arthur, Tom, DK, Kyle, and TK, Henry, and obviously with Chef the Goat Quang.
The goat.
Big shout outs to some of my old Yu-Gi-Oh players friends that I played with back in 2010. Our team Clutch YGO, Andrew Pack, Kung Do, Daniel. All of the Bay Area Time Wizard Discord and everyone on the Dirty Dog War League team. Shout out to Cardart, shout out to Games of Fremont, shout out to my family, and shout out to my girlfriend for letting me skip on Valentine's Day just to play some card games. So.
All right, thank you, Teddy. Thank you for the very insightful deck profile. We wish you good luck at rest of events.
Yeah, hopefully I'll be at LDS, both LDS and OC, and Vegas, and definitely trying to do better in the second next time.
Well, there's not much. There's only a little bit up left to go, so hopefully it works out. All right, thanks for the deck profile.
Yeah, thank you.